It began quietly, almost humbly, with a simple wish for health and peace. Tú Diệ had long since learned to greet the world with grace, even though her own childhood had been marked by loss. Abandoned by her parents at an age when most children are learning to feel safe, she carried invisible scars. Yet beneath the hurt lay something powerful, an unyielding determination to rewrite her story. Today, by her side stood CEO James, a man of sharp intellect, steady authority, and a rare kind of loyalty. He didn't just admire her resilience, he believed in her dreams as if they were his own. When James bought a piece of land to build a home for Tú Diệ, it was more than an act of generosity, it was a declaration. This would be her fresh start, her sanctuary, a place where she truly belonged. Old shadows stir. But new beginnings rarely go unchallenged. The news reached someone she had hoped never to encounter again, her ex-husband. His reaction was swift, bitter, and laced with envy. The life she was building stood in sharp contrast to the one he had abandoned her to face alone. And for a man like him, the reminder was intolerable. From childhood, Tú Diệ had known the taste of loneliness. With no parents to guide her, she grew up in a modest countryside home she maintained through sheer will, working the fields, selling vegetables in the market, and hiding her tears in the long quiet nights. Yet even in hardship, she held fast to a dream. One day she would no longer be the abandoned girl. She would be a woman standing firmly on her own ground. When James came into her life, he was like sunlight after a storm. Known in the business world for his precision and composure, he revealed a gentler side with her, a man who recognized her strength because it mirrored his own. A promise under the sunset. One evening, as the sky burned gold, James made her a promise. He would buy a piece of land and build her a home, a place untouched by past storms. Within weeks, he found it, a plot nestled between green hills, close enough for her to visit the village market she loved. James oversaw everything, negotiating with the landowner, securing the finest wood, and directing the construction. The site came alive with the buzz of saws, the thud of hammers, and the rhythmic voices of workers. Tú Diệ often arrived with fruit and water for the crew, her heart swelling as the vision took shape. But word traveled quickly. Her ex-husband, a man who had once left her with debts and a fractured heart, began asking pointed questions around the village. To him, her new life was not a story of survival, it was a personal insult. He muttered that she did not deserve such fortune. Tú Diệ, however, refused to be shaken. She had weathered harsher winters. When James noticed her unease, he took her hand and said firmly, We are building this together, Deep. This is your home. No one can take that from you. Those words became a stronger foundation than any beam or pillar, building more than a house. Day by day, the wooden frames rose into walls, the roof took shape, and the air filled with the scent of fresh timber. One afternoon, sunlight caught the necklace James had given her, and she realized she was no longer merely surviving, she was creating. Her ex-husband's whispers eventually faded into the background, powerless against the life she was building. When the house was finished, with wide windows welcoming the morning light and a sturdy gate guarding the threshold, Tú Diệ stepped inside with James. For the first time, she didn't just have a place to live, she had a place of her own. The first test, but as Tú Diệ knew too well, peace is never permanent. James's construction company was managing multiple projects, and delays were mounting. One warm afternoon, James took a call that made his jaw tighten. A supplier had failed to deliver critical timber. Without it, several projects, including Tú Diè's home, would stall. There are people in the industry who want to see me fail, James admitted later, trying to shield her from the full weight of the problem. That night, as dusk deepened to indigo, Tú Diệ sat on the porch of her half-finished home, thinking of the many battles she had fought alone. But this time, she would not be a bystander. The next morning, she went to the village. Friends, traders, and old neighbors rallied to her side. Within days, shipments of local wood, cement, and stone began to arrive, modest compared to the original plans, but enough to keep construction alive. When James saw the deliveries, he stopped in his tracks. Tú Diệ, you did this. She brushed a strand of hair from her face and smiled. You told me this is our home. That means I fight for it too. In that moment, something in his gaze shifted, an unspoken acknowledgement that she was not just the woman he loved, but his equal partner. A brewing storm, but in the shadows, her ex-husband was far from finished. Learning of James's heavy investments, he began spreading rumors that the CEO's company was collapsing. The whispers reached James, who confided one night, "If this keeps up, we could lose more than contracts." We could lose the company. Tú Diè placed her hand on his, then we fight twice as hard. We've both lost everything before. We know how to rebuild, this time, we do it together. The confrontation, it happened on a day heavy with storm clouds. James was reviewing a new delivery at the site when a black car rolled up. Out stepped a man James had never met but immediately recognized, Tú Diè's ex-husband. He surveyed the half-built house with a thin smile. So, this is the palace you're building for her. James's voice was steady. It's her home. And it's none of your concern. Oh, but it is, the man sneered, stepping closer. She walked away from me, and now she's living a life she doesn't deserve. And you think you can just swoop in and save her? The workers had stopped to watch, the air thick with tension. James stepped forward until they were only feet apart. I know exactly who I'm dealing with, a man who lost something valuable and can't accept it. But whatever you think you're going to do, it won't work. This house will be finished. She will live here, stay out of the way, or try to stop me, and regret it. The man's smirk faltered, replaced by a flash of anger before he turned back to his car. Stronger than the storm. When James told Tú Diệ what had happened, she went pale, then lifted her chin. I knew you wouldn't let go easily. But I'm not afraid anymore. I trust you. I trust us. That night, as rain began to fall, James looked out from his office window toward the glowing lights of the construction site. He knew this fight was about more than a house, it was about defending everything they were building together. Lessons in love and resilience. Life tested Tú Diệ in ways she could never have predicted. Abandoned, betrayed, but she chose to keep moving forward, to trust again, to fight for the future she deserved. Her story with James reminds us, love is not just romance, it's partnership. True security lies not in wealth, but in having someone who will stand beside you when the stakes are highest. We are not defined by what was taken from us, but by what we choose to build afterward. Every obstacle, delays, rumors, confrontations, became a brick in the wall of their shared future. Together, they proved that when a foundation is built on trust, loyalty, and shared dreams, no storm can bring it down.